Sean Diddy Combs, also known as Puff Daddy or Diddy, has long been a symbol of success, transforming from a record producer to a global brand. He launched Bad Boy Records, helped shape the careers of the Notorious Big and Mary J. Blige, and built empires in fashion and spirits. For years, he embodied the American dream, self-made, powerful, and influential. But now, a federal courtroom in New York City is unraveling that image. Combs faces severe criminal charges that threaten to dismantle his legacy. The trial has exposed a world of alleged fear, control, and exploitation behind the glamorous facade. Friends, former employees, and past lovers are testifying, painting a complex and often contradictory portrait. The outcome will not only decide Combs' fate, but also reshape his legacy and the industry he helped define. Sean Combs is facing a series of serious allegations under the RICO Act, a powerful federal law originally created to dismantle organized crime syndicates and target those who profit from illegal enterprises. In this case, prosecutors allege that Combs operated his businesses as a criminal enterprise, orchestrating and directing illegal activities for his own benefit. The most severe accusation is sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Prosecutors claim Combs compelled women, including high-profile accuser Cassie Ventura, to engage in non-consensual acts, using his influence and resources to control and exploit victims. These allegations are at the heart of the case, but they are not the only charges he faces. Other federal charges include transportation for prostitution, kidnapping, forced labor, narcotics distribution, and witness tampering. According to the government, these were not isolated or random acts. Instead, they argue that Combs orchestrated a systematic and ongoing operation, using his businesses and associates to further criminal objectives over many years. If convicted on these charges, Combs could face a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years, with the possibility of life in federal prison, a punishment that reflects the gravity of the alleged crimes. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense team insists that the relationships in question were entirely consensual, and they strongly deny the existence of any criminal enterprise or coordinated illegal activity. Ultimately, it will be up to the jury to weigh the evidence and decide, was Sean Combs simply a savvy entrepreneur, or was he secretly the mastermind behind a sprawling criminal empire? With so much at stake, the outcome of this trial could have far-reaching consequences for all involved. Cassie Ventura, Combs' longtime girlfriend, delivered the trial's most emotional and heart-wrenching testimony, captivating everyone in the courtroom with her courage and vulnerability. She described a relationship marked by alleged physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, painting a vivid picture of a life under constant surveillance and control. Ventura claimed Combs dictated her daily routines, isolated her from friends and family, and used intimidation to maintain his grip over her. Ventura recounted being forced into freak-offs, disturbing sexual encounters with others, orchestrated and filmed by Combs, which left her feeling violated and powerless. She testified she felt trapped, living in constant fear of violence if she ever refused his demands or tried to assert her independence. Ventura also described how Combs exerted financial control, threatening her livelihood and security. She recounted a chilling incident where her mother paid Combs $20,000 to prevent the release of a sex tape, highlighting the lengths her family went to protect her. Financial records and documentation supported her claims of extortion, providing tangible evidence of the manipulation and threats she endured. She spoke openly about the trauma bond that kept her tied to Combs, explaining how cycles of abuse and brief moments of affection made it incredibly difficult to leave, even when she knew she was in danger. The defense tried to portray her as a willing participant, motivated by money and fame, but Ventura remained steadfast, calmly refuting their claims and insisting her actions were driven by fear and survival. Her testimony forms the emotional core of the prosecution's case, offering a rare and deeply personal glimpse into the alleged abuse that took place behind closed doors. The courtroom, and the public, were left shaken by the raw honesty and pain in her words, sparking intense debate and reflection far beyond the courthouse walls. Ventura's account is pivotal, offering a personal window into the alleged abuse and the psychological toll it took on her over the years. Now, the jury must weigh her words against the defense's challenges, considering not just the facts, but the emotional truth behind her story. Regardless of the verdict, Ventura's story has already left a lasting mark on the trial and on the broader conversation about abuse and accountability. prosecutors called other women to show Ventura's experience was not unique. Jane, a recent ex-girlfriend, testified she was coerced into freak-offs and made financially dependent on Combs. She claimed she also transported drugs for him, supporting the narcotics charge. An audio recording played in court captured Combs pressuring Jane during one of these events. Mia, a former assistant, described repeated sexual assault and forced labor, including having her phone and passport confiscated. Mia also claimed to witness Combs's violence toward Ventura and said he threatened her life if she spoke out. Their testimonies suggest a pattern of exploitation and intimidation, not isolated incidents. The prosecution argues these stories reveal a recurring cycle of abuse. The defense disputes their credibility, but the impact is undeniable. Jane and Mia's accounts broaden the scope of the allegations. Together, they help establish the prosecution's case for a criminal enterprise. To bolster their case and establish a clear pattern of behavior, prosecutors called a series of corroborating witnesses to the stand. Each witness brought a unique perspective, helping to piece together a broader narrative of the events in question. Capricorn Clark, a former assistant, confirmed the $20,000 extortion payment and described a climate of fear that permeated the workplace. She recounted how employees felt pressured to stay silent, fearing retaliation if they spoke out against Combs. Dawn Richard, ex-member of Danity Kane, testified she saw Combs physically assault Ventura and threaten anyone who dared to speak out. Her testimony painted a vivid picture of intimidation, describing moments when the atmosphere turned tense and volatile. Daniel Phillip, a male escort, said he was paid to have sex with Ventura while Combs watched, directly supporting the sex trafficking claim. He described the arrangements in detail, emphasizing the lack of consent and the power dynamics at play. Sheree, the Punisher Hayes, an exotic dancer, described participating in these parties. She recalled the extravagant settings and the sense that boundaries were routinely crossed, with guests feeling both privileged and uneasy. Musician Kid Cudi testified he believed Combs firebombed his car as retaliation for refusing to attend a party. His account added a chilling layer to the allegations, suggesting that threats could escalate to real-world violence. Brianna Bongolan, Ventura's friend, claimed Combs once dangled her over a hotel balcony. She described the terror she felt in that moment and how it left a lasting impact on her sense of safety. The defense challenged timelines and motives, questioning the credibility of each witness. Yet, despite rigorous cross-examination, the witnesses' stories painted a consistent picture of intimidation and violence. These accounts support the prosecution's argument that Combs used fear and manipulation to maintain control over those around him, creating an environment where dissent was dangerous. The jury must now decide how much weight to give these corroborating voices, and whether the collective testimony is enough to establish a pattern of abuse and coercion. Each testimony adds another layer to the prosecution's narrative, making the case more complex and compelling with every new detail. The defense continues to dispute their reliability, arguing that personal motives and inconsistencies undermine the witnesses' accounts. As the trial unfolds, the stakes remain high, with each day in court bringing new revelations and raising the tension for everyone involved. The prosecution's case is reinforced by physical and digital evidence. Homeland Security agents testified about seizing electronic devices, drugs, cash, and firearms from Combs' properties. A key piece, a hotel surveillance video allegedly showing Combs assaulting Ventura, which prosecutors say he paid $100,000 to suppress. Financial records corroborate the extortion and bribery claims, tracing money through Combs' accounts. Hotel records detail unusual requests and cleaning needs, suggesting the occurrence of freak-off parties. These documents and videos provide a tangible framework for the prosecution's case. The defense argues the evidence is circumstantial or misinterpreted. Still, the physical evidence gives jurors more than just testimony to consider. The prosecution aims to show a documented pattern of criminal behavior. The jury must connect the dots between evidence and allegations. Combs' defense team is aggressively challenging the prosecution's story. They argue there was no criminal enterprise, just a successful, unconventional businessman. The defense claims all relationships and sexual activities were consensual, and witnesses are motivated by money or revenge. They highlight inconsistencies, using texts and public appearances to suggest the relationships were loving, not abusive. For witnesses like Bowlin, they use travel records to dispute her timeline. The defense has filed motions for mistrial, alleging prosecutorial misconduct and perjury. Their goal? Introduce reasonable doubt and portray Combs as a victim of a coordinated attack. They don't need to prove innocence, just enough uncertainty for acquittal. The jury must decide if the prosecution's case holds up under scrutiny. The trial has become a global spectacle, dominating headlines and social media. Public opinion is sharply divided. Some support the accusers, others defend Combs. Advocacy groups highlight the case as a test of accountability for the powerful. Online harassment and leaks have raised concerns for witness safety. Even political figures like former President Trump have weighed in, hinting at possible intervention. The intense scrutiny puts pressure on jurors and witnesses alike. The legal process is unfolding under a microscope, with justice, fame, and public perception colliding. The outcome will resonate far beyond the courtroom. As of June 9, 2025, the trial is ongoing, no verdict yet. Each day brings new testimony and evidence, with more witnesses expected. The presumption of innocence remains, and the jury must weigh every detail. This case has sparked vital conversations about power, consent, and abuse in the entertainment industry. The stakes are enormous: Combs' freedom and legacy, and the accuser's quest for justice. The world is watching as the trial nears its conclusion. The final verdict will define more than one man's fate. It will send a message about justice and accountability. The story is still being written, and its impact will be felt for years to come.